Hello everyone, I'm Hafiz.
And I'm Parkson.
We are the fathers behind the podcast
We Are Dads Too.
We discuss everything from being an effective father to a good co-parent to our spouse.
We also have guests and experts on our show to talk about the different aspects of fatherhood. Come and join us to discover more about our experiences as fathers because
We are Dads Too. Click on the link below to follow us on Spotify. So today, my co-host Parkson and I will be talking with Dr. Siti Mariam. Welcome, Dr. Siti Mariam.
Thank you very much, Hafiz and Parkson, for having me here today.
Well, before we go anywhere, go forward, let's wish you Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
Because this episode is a Mother's Day special. So not just to you, but all mothers out there, Happy Mother's Day, and hope you have a very wonderful day with your family and you get to do the things that you always wanted to do.
Thank you.
And it's very important for us to address mothers because apparently half of our audience are mothers. Although we
Women. We don't know that if they're mothers. We
Okay.
just presume they're mothers, but they're women.
Women, girls.
I think mothers want to know father's perspective also, right?
Correct. They want to
Yes.
know what fathers talk about when they are alone.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, it's not easy to get fathers to talk, but when they do, you better listen.
Then you get a
yeah.
podcast like WADT.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit more about our guest today. She's a wife and mother of three children. Ages 2, 4, and 6. Very, very systematic.
It's all planned.
Yeah. Okay. So welcome again. Let me start off with the first question. All right. So you've been a mother for quite some time now, and what would you say is let's start with the good part. The best part of being a mother.
I think at this stage right now that my kids are still very young, 2, 4, and 6, right? They are toddler and preschoolers. The best part that we are experiencing is the fun because they are still very playful and still joyful. And they try to turn everything into something fun.
Mm-hmm.
It can be stressful at times, but most of the time, it brings a lot of joy. And other than that, I think, being somebody's hero, someone who looks up to you and like really love you and really say, "Mommy, you are my hero," or "Daddy, you are my hero." It's really heartwarming.
Mm.
And kids don't lie. So when they say something like that, you feel that, oh, okay, you feel good that we've probably done something right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that actually gives you a reason to look forward to going home every day, right? I'm going home to someone who sees me as their hero. Wow. As compared to at work, you might not be seen that way.
Well, it depends. We haven't gone to the second part of the question, but
Okay,
let's
alright.
focus on the best part. I think there are other things that, other than focusing on the children themselves, having children actually improves the relationship I have with my husband and also with my parents. Because, for my husband, of course, it brings us together to work as a family. And for my parents, I find that I start to understand them better.
Mm.
And I start to appreciate what they have done for me and, seeing it from a different perspective as a parent now.
Yeah, now that you're in their shoes, you begin to say, oh, that's what they actually went through and the sacrifice they've made and the suffering that I caused them.
Yeah. And
Okay.
the scoldings I get, they always say, it's because I love you. I'm like, why you scold me when you love me?
So are you saying that those people who are not mothers, they will not be able to appreciate their parents?
I'm not saying that. It's just for me personally. Like, that's how I start to understand more. And usually when I complain to my mom or say like, I'm so tired, I don't get enough sleep. And she's like, now you know. Then it's always like a dagger, like. But
Yeah.
now I understand, what she has gone through, which she don't really tell us. She doesn't complain, and I appreciate it very much that my parents have really done a lot for us to get to where we are today.
Yeah, I think it's about what you're saying. Parents, do complain. I don't think parents don't complain. They do complain. But I think if they really want to complain everything, there'll be a lot. But in reality, parents usually they just take in, right? They just accept. And as you said just now, if you begin to enjoy the process, right, then you are really appreciating the journey of parenting or motherhood.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Parents suffer silently. They complain to themselves or at most to their spouses, or maybe when they're with friends, they will compare notes, with other parents. They'll compare notes. How's your kids like, huh? And then you say, oh, mine are like that. Oh, mine also. Okay, then they feel comforted. All right, I'm not the only one.
True. We have a lot
Okay.
of parent forums where we complain to each other or exchange notes, I would say.
Exchange notes, yes.
We're supposed to talking about good things now.
Yeah.
All this, before we
All
go
right.
to all these negatives.
Okay, so part B of this first question is, what is the hardest thing about being a mother?
I think the first and foremost is the lack of sleep. Because from the time we are pregnant, for me, thankfully, it was okay. So I still get a lot of sleep. But once we deliver the baby, and when the baby, let's say if we are nursing, and we don't get much sleep from then on. We are always waken up. And usually for sleep cycle, we always need a certain amount to get into that deep sleep where the body really rests. So I find that I might not have gotten as much deep sleep as before. And I think it's kind of a natural thing. I read somewhere that once we given birth as a mother, the hormone changes such that we get easily woken up. They call it like mother's instinct. So when the babies cry, it's more often that the mother wakes up rather than the father. And I observe it myself sometimes.
So that's biological. Cannot
That's
blame us.
actually
Not
biological.
blame the fathers.
But you can make an effort, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know.
I'm sure.
Maybe it's a biological thing, and it's like what survival, the gene for survival, maybe, and so I get easily woken up also. So
Until today?
until today, because I've 3 kids, and all of them I nurse till about they're 2 years old. So I'm still feeding the last one right now.
So I'm not trying to say that men do not feel it or what, but to have carried the child, the baby, for 9 months, sleeping, waking up, doing, going to work, doing whatever that you are doing, and then when the baby gets out, of course there must be some continuity, right, of connection. That,
the bond, I guess.
Yeah,
You're
the bond.
talking about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bond.
It's not just physical but emotional.
Yeah.
You know,
And emotional is actually related to the hormones lah. So it all relates to biological changes.
Yeah. But I also read that some study says that the fathers also experience hormonal changes during the mother's pregnancy period and also after the delivery of the baby. And therefore, when it talks about postpartum depression, both mothers and fathers can experience that. So it's not just limited to mothers. So, and one of the reasons is also the hormonal changes that men experience on top of every other thing like sleeplessness and just the stress or maybe financial issues that they are facing. Yeah.
and yet that's not being talked about.
No, underreported
Yeah.
because men usually will just say, "Oh, I'm just having a bad day. Oh, I didn't sleep enough last night," and things. So they will just anything. They will say anything and diagnose it in any way, except to say it could be depression. All right. So that's a topic for another day. Yeah. So okay. So that's the hardest thing. Now you're a working mom. How do you manage? How do you manage to balance work? You are a doctor, Mariam, so I'm sure your work is with great responsibility and in terms of volume. how do you manage balancing, being your work as well as being a mother?
I would say that I knew from the start that for me personally, it would be tough because I was studying overseas when I have my first two children. And when we came back, then I have my third child. So I was doing my doctorate overseas, where I get that PhD and the title of doctor. And where I was studying, which was in Sweden, there was actually more flexibility there, where we are able to extend the parental leave into like a percentage. So we can work 50% to 75% for some number of, for some duration according to our parental leave. And that's what I find when I'm back in Singapore, that there is not much flexibility there. Like I did apply for some lab positions because I'm a doctor by research, not a medical doctor, yeah, just to clarify. And I asked if it's possible if I take 50% or 75% work, and they said no, we don't have such thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, I decided to take another route, which is being an entrepreneur. Yeah. And that helps me to balance because I can put in the time for the family along with the schedule that I have for work. So that is one of the things. And I know some of my family members, they actually left work. But otherwise, some of my friends who are still working, I find that they get a lot of support either from family members or, just by sending the kids to preschool or daycare. And or some of them will get helper at home. So different ways. I think one of the most helpful way to get this balance is to create a routine. Because once we have a routine, right, firstly, we know what to expect. And secondly, children actually thrive better with routine. And when we know, what we're supposed to do in a day, then it helps us to now we know, get ready, wake up, go to school, and then come back, we have dinner, some family time, and then bedtime. So it's program week. And then at the weekend, that's where we let it now what do you want to do? And most weekend, we will visit our family members, and very often we'll visit my parents. And on Sundays, as much as possible, we will have a family time in the evening or late afternoon where my husband, myself, and the kids, we will go to the beach. So we have that kind of routine to make sure there's family time and there's work time. And I think another aspect of balancing work and family is that since I'm working from home, it's actually harder because the work time and the home chores, it kind of integrate, and I'm sometimes thinking, should I be washing the dishes now or should I be checking my email?
Okay.
Do both at the same time. I heard that women and mothers can multitask.
Actually, I do watch podcasts and videos while I'm washing dishes.
Mm-hmm.
So I do multitask, but not always possible. So another thing that helps me is the concept of personal effectiveness. This one actually by chance, I just thought let me calculate how much time do I spend doing the house chores every day so that I know how much time I should set aside so that I don't feel bad that, I'm not giving enough time for this or that. So I start timing, from start to finish. In general, I will take about 1 hour, for example, washing the dishes. Cooking is another hour. If I do laundry, it's 1 more hour. So then it helps me to plan in that time with my work. Yeah. So, and when I talk to one of my brothers, he's working as in a consultancy company, and he said, that's actually in the concept of personal effectiveness that people incorporate into work.
Now, maybe I want, because such an important point that you brought up about having routine, about when to balance. So regardless whether you're working outside, and especially when you are at home, it's so unstructured.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of procrastinating, especially when you don't have a boss, you're your own boss.
Mm.
So I mean, these are good to hear, the practices that you are having. But do you know mothers out there who are facing issues just to, for example, because after sending the kids off to school, then you're on your own, for example, procrastination starts kicking in. So how do mothers out there can learn from what you are saying, to overcome those things? Really, because your experience really, it seems that you have, you have gone to get used to it. But I think the starting part would have been quite difficult.
Yeah, it's very true
Yeah.
because at the starting part, when the kids go to school, right, I'm like, hooray! Watch Netflix,
Yeah.
K-pop. No, not K-pop lah, K-drama.
Okay.
That was during circuit breaker. Okay, we watch a lot of K-drama because like we're home like the whole 2 months. But anyway, once circuit breaker was over and we're back to the normal routine, we have to self-motivate. And how to self-motivate, one of the things is to set goals. Like, what do we want to achieve? So, for example, I usually set goals connected to what am I lacking right now? Let's say if I want to improve finances, means I have to look more into the business. Or if I find that, I want, now the house is a bit messy. So my goal is to have the house clean by when. So having goals and then writing them down really helps. And then I have this checklist. I mean, people have like vision board and everything. Mine is like for very short-term goals like this. I just have checklists. And then when I'm done with it, I just check. And the thing is that the checklist, right, never ends because we always add new things.
Mm-hmm.
But when I see something being strike off, there's really a sense of satisfaction. Like, okay, I'm done. Because otherwise, we never see that we have done something because the work is endless, especially housework. It never ends. But then once we have completed one part and then we strike it off, then we know, hey, we accomplished something. I think this is something for, like, for example, stay-at-home mums or maybe work-from-home mums. Sometimes it's hard to feel accomplished or satisfied because the work never ends. And then you don't know what you have done. You don't know what you haven't done. And then, like washing dishes, 5 minutes later when you cook, it's full again. The sink is full again. So I think it helps to really understand what you want to achieve, and then what are the tasks we need to do, and have some kind of like visual, like you tick it off. And then, as we like to reward kids, but sometimes we can also reward ourselves.
Yeah, this is the habit loop, right, that we're talking about, right? There must be the trigger, the response, or the routine, and then the reward. Then it goes back again to the trigger or the thing that you want to do. But I want to pick up something, because you say that this is what stay-at-home mothers do. But I think this same example that you were saying are applicable to men as well, who are actually working from home. For example, if men have this attitude that you should be working at home 24/7, and I'm sometimes guilty of that, right? And you forget actually that you have other responsibilities. So we want to go to the next question about team. I mean, how do you see the role of your husband, for example, in performing the duties and trying to achieve whatever that you want to achieve together, at home and with your children?
Okay, just now I mentioned about the routine, right? So both of us contribute to the routine. So for example, in the morning when we all wake up, the first thing is we prepare the kids first to go to school. I mean, at the same time, while we also prepare ourselves. So when we're preparing the kids to go to school, we will split the tasks, like who does what, because we have like packing the bag, cleaning up the bottle, feeding the kids, showering the kids. So we split the tasks. So these are two of the main things. We have the routine and splitting the tasks. So we know that, okay, now at the end of the day, we're supposed to be also, like end of the day.
So how do you agree to what tasks who do?
Okay, that one, right? It was trial and error. At first, we like, okay, why don't you do this? And then I do this. And it's like, it's not working so well. Why don't you do this? Or it's like somehow we naturally go into that role because, for example, the kids only want me to shower them. Then, okay, so now it happens that I'm the one preparing the kids. And because it's 3 of them, the amount of time I take to prepare the kids it's about the same amount of time my husband would take to prepare the breakfast, pack the bag, pack the bottle. So he would do all that, and I would do preparing the kids, And it has been working like that for some time. But some days the kids feel like, no, I want daddy to shower me. Then like we will rotate so we fill in the gap. So we have things that we see, okay, we do better at what. Then after that we complement each other like wherever is necessary.
So there's no such thing as this is my job, that is your job. I do mine, you do yours.
Sometimes we do that. We try to do that. Like at least we split something. I even have in my mind, I have a list that okay, these are the things that we need to do at home, and then how we split. But then at the same time, because now I'm like freelancing. I mean, my work is still like freelance. It's according to my time, whereas my husband's time is more fixed with the work, 9 to 7 almost. So if I were to give really half, then it means that when the time he's back, he's just doing the house chores and no time for the kids. And I don't want that. We want to have that family time. So at some point, like, okay, let me see, what do I do? Maybe I take more on the weekday, and then the weekend he will catch up with some of the things. Yeah, so we try to. That's why I say we fill in the gaps. Yeah, but as much as possible, we try to both of us will play a role in both the child minding and the house minding.
Oh, that's amazing. That's very good. It's good to hear you have found. It's like water will find its level naturally. So I guess that's how husband and wife, father and mother needs to find the equilibrium, find the sweet spot about how things can be separated or divided, so that everyone chips in to whatever degree. I read a report some time ago that in 2018 there was this global survey done by International Labour Organization about the division of labor between men and women, and they found that Asian women do 4 times more unpaid work than Asian men. And so unpaid work means basically housework and childcare. All right. So it doesn't seem like that ratio applies to your family. What do you think the ratio would be in your home?
The ratio was
4 to 1.
4 to 1.
As I said, she was in Sweden for some time, so she's not a typical Asian woman.
That's right. But now today in Singapore,
it depends. On the weekday, maybe that applies.
Okay.
Then on the weekend, we even out.
All right.
So
okay.
I think there is some truth in that in general. Okay, because I'm in a lot of forums where mummies, discuss. Like it's more like venting out or asking opinions and sharing, each other's information. And a lot of mummies who are stay-at-home mums, they do have that complaint. And the thing is, it's not just about, they want to do it or something. Sometimes it's just expected of them. For example, I've read posts where, the husband, when they come back from home and they ask like, why is the dishes not washed? Why is the clothes not folded? And it becomes something very stressful for the mummy, because if the baby is still home, just child minding itself is a complete full-time job. And then to do the housework on top of that is another full-time job. And if you add on to the night shift with the kids, it's like 3-shift work then. Full-time 3-shift work. So that's why I think it can be both ways. Like I also know someone whose husband is a house husband. Then when the wife come back from work, then, she shouldn't have that kind of expectation also. So it's more of understanding each other. Sometimes how we get to our agreement at this point, right? Partly is, of course, my overseas experience. Because in Sweden, they are very much, the feminist movement is very strong. And they're very much on equality between men and women. and also equal share of childminding, everything as much as possible. Even mothers are almost expected to work after the parental leave ends, because it's how the society has been built up. But they give very fair family policies to support families. Yeah.
I always tell men that, men and women, husbands and wives, ask this same question, what's for dinner, except at different times. For mothers, they would ask this question the day before. All right, in their minds, they'll be thinking, okay, what should I cook for dinner? Or during the day while they're at work, for example, what am I going to cook for dinner? And they will just plan the menu, and then once they get off work, they will rush to the supermarket or wherever to get all the ingredients, go home and start to cook. Husbands, on the other hand, ask that same question when they get home. They walk through the door and ask, what's for dinner? So I just use this to tell, just to bring across the point that, we men, we need to change that. Don't just ask what's for dinner when you get home and expect dinner to be on the table ready for you.
Magic
and things
wand.
like that. Magic wand.
Right, you were talking about in Sweden, right? There are family friendly policies, by the government, and then a lot of strong feminist movement. I don't want to touch more about that, but more about because people probably wait for the government to do something, and then we change. But what are the things that you think men in general can change in terms of mindset, right, to accept the a different kind of gender roles, not like what our father's generation,
the traditional gender roles.
How can men today, all right, change their mindset?
I think it's not just men, both men and women, and it have to be the parents also.
Okay.
I think one of the mindset we have to adapt is that we see now, generally in Singapore itself, right? Men and women are contributing almost equally to economy. Okay, we see as many working women as we see working men. So why not, if women are contributing economically, means like the traditional roles where women are more at home is also shared equally with, the partner. So that is one of the mindset, I think. And the other mindset is about communication. Maybe not just mindset, but it's more like style, developing the style of communication. I find that when I was in Sweden, I learned a lot more about how, they communicate. And I find it very enlightening because they're very open and they try to be non-emotional and they can be quite direct. So they will say to the point. It's not like in general here we always say when women say no, they mean yes. When they say yes, they mean no. There, when they say no, that means no.
Why do you do this?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I do that. Maybe I don't do that. I don't know. I don't remember.
So you think the women down there, they're more they don't display that kind of. I mean, they're more outward, saying that they're more bold, right?
At least in the area where I was working in the institute, right, in the university level, and it's like PhD or higher mostly in my lab. We have a few which are. We have students coming sometimes, but most of the people that I have interaction with are fellow PhD or postdocs. So I think they are firstly more matured. And I would say secondly is also because of the education and their own exposure, because many of them will have international exposure. So they also have a different type of charisma or the way they carry themselves, I would say. And I learned a lot just being there. And, just observing how they communicate and just, like communicating with them and then learning how they're communicating back, especially in terms of like anger management, not just anger, but in general, emotional and handling conflict. And I think one of the most applicable and useful technique I learned there is how to separate facts from emotion. So if there's an argument, it's good to present the facts and then like try to hold back on the emotion. And I think now I'm also taking some classes on mindfulness, and I find that they also do this kind of like, trying to keep our emotions in check. And I think these strategies, they are very applicable to parenting and husband-wife relationship or cooperation, because often when we have arguments and at home, maybe we either talk too fast or we don't talk at all. When we talk too fast, we can't retract the words, and then the hurt is done. And like they say, if you put a nail into a wood, you can take out the wood, but then the hole will still be there. So that is one thing. Or if we hold back and we don't communicate, which is also very common in our community still in Singapore, then it comes to the point that we may be bottling up too much, that it boils over. And by the time the anger or that emotion, reach beyond our level, then there's just an outburst and people fight.
It's like a volcano that erupts.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Hurts many, many people.
And what I learned over there is that one of my friends, he's Dutch, and he said that I asked him how come he can remain so cool even when we are talking about agreeing to disagree, and it feels like it could have been a heated argument. He said no, he understands himself. And he knows that, okay, before he reached that eruption level, he know when is the next highest, or like 70%, 50 to 70%. Then he will put a stop there, either to directly say, okay, this is the situation now, let's tackle with the facts. Or he will just get away from that situation. So just walk away.
Yep.
So that's what I would call it, like a timeout for myself. Like if I feel very angry, it's not that I'm not going to talk about it, but it's just that I won't talk about it right now when I'm feeling angry and I'm about to erupt. So let me take a time out, cool down, and then we come back later with, like more settled emotions.
That's called flooding. Flooding is when your prefrontal cortex is flooded with adrenaline and cortisol because you're so upset, you're so frustrated, angry, and you're not able to control your emotions, and your emotions control you, and you likely will say things and do things that you will later regret, but you cannot retract, you cannot take back, you cannot undo. So yeah, that example you gave is a very, very good example, very wise thing to do, to recognize, to have enough self-awareness to know that you're reaching that boiling point, and before you even get near to it, do something about it. Either soothe yourself, calm yourself down, and taking a break is one definitely good strategy. Yeah. So I think communication is I don't think we're talking about stifling and suppressing our emotions, but it's appropriately expressing it, articulating it so that it's understood. Because I don't think we can divorce our words from emotions, because we are basically emotional beings. We have emotions. We can't control emotions, but we can choose the right way to express it and make it known what we are feeling. There was a couple I was helping in their marriage, and the wife was complaining about the husband not helping in keeping the house tidy. And so I kind of gave them a template about how you should express yourself. And so I said, start with your feeling. So I feel what? So she said, I feel angry, I feel upset, I feel frustrated when, you, my husband, is not helping to keep the house tidy. And so I said, okay, besides angry, frustrated, upset, what other words can you think of? And she couldn't think of, and I kind of helped her a little. How about lonely? And she said, yes, that's exactly how I felt. And the husband's eyes just opened wide, and says, I never thought that you felt that way. And that point on, he started to help.
So I think just now we're talking about women. They don't say directly. I mean, this is from my experience. And men tend to want to just be told directly. And the conflict rises when, why can't you just say? After you realize that all this argument actually is very unproductive and actually leading to nowhere. And then you regret because actually we just misunderstood each other.
I think that's a good point, no? And I want to say something to men out there who are listening. Men tend to say, well, if my wife needs my help, all she needs to do is to ask.
Yes.
Right?
For
Honey, can you
women, they say,
Yeah.
if I need to ask, it doesn't count anymore.
That's right.
I mean, then we treat you so stupid, is it, man?
Yeah,
Ah.
So what I'm trying to help men understand is to help is not the same as taking responsibility or taking ownership. All right. When it comes to housework, it is your house. Come on, it's your house. And if you don't have, unless you have a domestic helper, all right, fine. That's the job of that helper. But otherwise, at the end of the day, the ball is still in your court, all right? So you're responsible and you need to take ownership of it. So don't wait to be asked to do something. If you see something needs to be done, just do it, And so that's the difference. If you only wait to be asked, then, you are still implying that the primary responsibility of your wife is to keep the house tidy and to do all these other things. Only when she needs, then I will come in, So it's like a football game, for example. You have the substitutes, the reserve, right? So only when you're called upon by the coach, it says, all right, you get on the pitch and you play. Other than that, you're just sitting there, with your legs crossed and doing something else. So that's the difference. I think that's one mindset among men. I had to change my mindset in that terms because after I read the report I was telling you about, at first I was taken aback. I said, 4 times more cannot be. Until I looked at my own home, between my wife and I said,
Not far, lah. Not far.
oh, very far, It's more like 5.
Okay.
Okay, more like 5 times more, And I felt very guilty and convicted, and so I started to step up. So now today I use housework as my stress reliever. After working, I need to take a break. Okay, I might as well do some housework in the meantime. So I find housework as a distraction for me to take my mind off whatever I was doing, a change of pace, a change of scenery and things like that. So yeah, we can find some meaning in doing housework actually.
Yeah, I think about the communication, right? Maybe I want to add one thing that when we say about communication, people always think that we need to talk. But I feel that it need not always be just talking because, some people, they might be introvert and then introverts don't like to talk. And or some people, they generally are adverse to like confrontations. So one other way, I heard someone before told me that they used to write letters to each other. If they feel that they cannot, they want to say something but it's hard to get it across, then they write letter. Then I'm thinking, yeah, that can work too. Then in today's context, we can write emails or even text, WhatsApp.
But doesn't that sound weird,
Yeah.
for husband and wife to email each other?
I mean, that's the thing, like we can't really judge because it's also based on personality.
Mhm.
Because some people, maybe they are not used to communicating and
Okay.
then they are not comfortable to talk to each other in like a face-to-face confrontation. But when you write down, what happened is that, you get to leave out the emotions, so-called. And then also, the other party will not be able to influence you more. So you will be able to write down what you're thinking exactly. And then the other person have to read without interrupting you, They have to read it anyway, if they read lah.
The other one, I'm not trying to say that this is a good way, but one positive in writing down is usually when you write down, it's permanent, right? You usually give more thought to it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then also when you write down, you will also have a lead time to think about it. And, sometimes you can choose not to press the send button, but instead you can read and okay, some people just writing it down, it's like they feel okay
Yes,
already.
yes. It's just the process
The
that
therapy.
the therapy, the
Yeah.
process you go through. So the point is, I think definitely it's a no for you just to be writing to each other your whole life
Yes,
and not
I hope that doesn't
communicating
happen.
verbally. That's definitely not normal, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how it will work if it works.
Now,
But
talking about introvert, I want to tell you, I was a super introvert. All right, you can ask my brother-in-law. That means my wife's brother. He made this comment to my wife. He says, "Your husband is the man with the golden mouth. It hardly opens. It never opens." I mean, he said this. You can be in the same room with him and didn't know he was there. All right. So I was super introvert, but because I had emotional baggages, all right, I was, struggling with different issues. And so today, if you look at me, you don't think I was an introvert, right? Or I am an introvert because
No.
I have changed, I've learned. And how it happened was I asked my wife to help me to help her. I mean, she was really frustrated, you don't talk, I don't know what you're thinking. So I said, okay, why don't you help me to help you? All right. So I actually had to ask her to teach me how to speak and how to, just give the information that she needs. So I think this is in marriage communication already. Maybe we can change tracks a little and talk about parenting. Parenting is teamwork because there's a father and a mother. How does parenting work in your home? I'm sure there are differences in parenting styles between you and the husband, and how do you resolve it?
Yeah, so far, we do have difference in parenting styles. Then we either, like, mainly it has been just by observation. We never really like discuss, like, in a way. But it's more like observing. Okay, I observed that he likes to do this. And then he also noticed that, oh, Mariam like to do certain things. So, after a while, it feels that we both adapt, we grow into each other's style. So, for example, he's more of the fun-loving father lah. He loves to bring the kids to play, and
That's
he
typical of fathers, actually.
yeah, for the NS, he was in army. So he teach the girls leopard crawl, like
Wow. Okay.
we go
So
to the
he's
indoor playground.
He's a CSM at home.
Yeah, so they are in the indoor playground and he will be talking to them like in the army. It's cute actually because we have a recording of that. And then also at the the monkey bar we call it, or the one where you're supposed to do the
Chin-ups, huh?
chin-ups. So my 6-year-old, she can actually climb up the pole to the bar. And for me, of course, I'm the one who's always like safety first. And I just look and frozen, But
Okay.
I know that, I let him be because, we have 3 girls. So, of course, I let him try his style. We don't have a boy. So, it's okay. We are gender neutral in the sense that we don't just say girls should be doing this or boys should be doing this. So I say, okay, let them try. If the girls like it, then it's okay, And I also want the girls to be tough because it's going to be, when they're out in the world, really, there's a lot of cases of bullies. And I want them to be able to be full of self-confidence and also to be able to stand up for themselves. So I think that the approach that my husband does, it helped to instill this kind of like strength in them also. Yeah, so I let it be because it's not something that in my forte. I don't really know how to do that. I mean, I do go kayaking and climbing and all that, but it's still a different style. And for me, I'm more concerned on because I did cancer research. So I'm very concerned about, all those preservatives in food, no coloring, no additives, no sugar. So I'm very mindful about all those. And sometimes my family feel that it's an extreme. But I keep telling them, that if the kids constantly eat this, they get sick. And I'm the one who have to take care of the kids, And I'm the one who's going to lose work and, lose sleep because I have to take care of them when they are sick. And it's not fun taking care of sick kids.
And it's not only about sick or illness, right? I think with all these preservatives and a lot of sugar, the kids are usually their behavior. It affects their behavior, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is for long term lah. And for people, sometimes I find not everyone will be able to see longer term. They might be seeing that, the short term is like, you are denying the kids of fun.
Even the short term, I heard if there's too much sugar, they'll be too active.
Yeah.
And, this preservative may also cause some, conditions.
Actually, that's true. That's true. The thing is, we don't really know. Not everything is really clear cut because, of course, some people would say that it's attributed to this and that, but not really many scientific research can really show, okay, sugar really caused this. Because even when you say about the hyperactive, there is controversy. Some people say that no, in the study it didn't show. Then some documentary that I've seen say that yes, it caused hyperactive. But in general, I don't let the kids take sugar so much. As much as possible, I cut that out. Until I think the first time my kid takes sweet was when we come back and visit the family, and then they give candy or something. Or maybe it was in school that they get candies in school.
Maybe it should just be a treat. Candies should be a treat, but not a
snack.
regular part of your diet kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And actually, I did a whole talk on this, because I do a vlog on YouTube, under my Wellness with Dr. Mariam, and I talk about this. It's called the hidden toxin. And I think we're going to talk about this in the next podcast, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And regardless, it is still important for mothers, fathers to ensure that children are able to, control and know what they eat.
Yeah.
Because this does have effect on, as I said, behavior, how active they are. At which part of the day you're not supposed to eat this and that. Otherwise they can't function.
Or they
well,
can't sleep, right? If they eat
Mm.
candy just before
That's
bed.
right.
So I think about this, we were going back to like how the different parenting style. So my focus was a lot on that. And so slowly my husband adapted, because before that he was more like relaxed and like, the kids want Ribena, okay, let's get them this. Or they want lollipop, okay, let's give them lollipop. Or like using lollipop as a treat, as a bait. But then I keep reminding that no, it's not good. They will see that it will become a habit.
So do you play good cop, bad cop?
We remind each other lah.
Yeah, unconsciously, maybe not deliberately, but sometimes unconsciously. Again, it's I wouldn't say it's a gender roles, that we choose, but this is the interesting and good thing about fathers and mothers. We love the children equally, but we love them differently.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
you talk about playing, fathers will play a little bit rougher and encourage the children to take more risk, but of course within safe limits, while the mother will say, hey, not too high, not too fast, and things like that.
Balance things up.
It's meant to balance, it's meant to balance, provided the couple knows how to communicate and knows how to give allowance, all right. Sometimes the mother needs to be assured it's okay, let me tell you why this is safe, even though it looks risky and things like that. Because there are skills that the child will develop through these kind of, risk-taking activities and things like that. I think a good thing to remember is parents will love, mothers and fathers love the children equally but differently. So we need to celebrate the difference, appreciate the difference, and learn to use the differences at the right time for the better of the child. Otherwise, the child will be very, if I use the word sterile, and don't get to try new things and different types of experiences, and so it doesn't help the child to develop the different skills that they need. All right, maybe the final question, because it's Mother's Day. What do you think is the best way to celebrate Mother's Day?
Breakfast in bed. Okay, no lah.
Okay.
That well, it's nice if the mother get an off day from the child minding, the house minding.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if sometimes the husband wants to give the like a gift, I guess it really depends on what the wife like or what the mothers like. And this is where I think I mentioned about this. My friend and I, we had a discussion about these 5 languages of love.
Mm-hmm.
And different people likes to receive love differently. So I think if we get to know better what our partner like, then we can know what is the best gift that will make that person happy.
Mm.
And this love language is can be a double-edged sword. Because sometimes it is what we love actually. We think the other person
Yeah,
wants.
exactly.
And this is the problem.
Yeah, we
That's why it's about getting to know the other partner. I
Correct.
think that's the thing about marriage, that we grow in marriage because firstly we get to know about ourselves, and then we also get to know about another person, and trying to be, like serving the other person.
Mm.
And respect
Uh,
that.
Respect.
I mean,
yeah.
for example, if the five language says that, I like quality time, you like gift, respect that. Don't say that you're materialistic,
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
for example. Right? Don't have that judgment. But the problem with me sometimes with these five love languages is that what if you have all of them?
Oh, choose one lah. Choose one.
No, then
I think there is.
no. My
isn't
daughter
there-
said it's
Uh.
easier then. You just choose one.
Correct.
You said,
Yeah, correct.
Don't take it
Yeah,
as
why limit-
difficult. You have to give everything.
Yeah, why limit yourself to just one, right? If I
Yeah.
can have 5, I'll have 5. If there are 6 love languages, I'll have 6.
So which one are you?
Which one? ah?
Have you done
Actually,
the,
I don't know.
the test?
No, I didn't do the test, but yeah, I think I like to relax.
Okay.
Relax.
All right, one final question related to Mother's Day. How frequently should we celebrate Mother's Day? Once a
Every
year is not enough,
day.
right?
No, too many times become too common. Nothing special.
No, they say we should appreciate our family members, our partners, our mothers, our parents. We should appreciate them every day.
Mm.
But maybe celebrating, actually, we don't really celebrate Mother's Day personally, because sometimes we feel that, like what I said, we should appreciate each other every day. And sometimes these kind of days can be more of a commercial thing.
So don't wait for that particular 9th of May. Is it
The
Mother's
first
Day?
Sunday, is it?
Second Sunday
Second
of
Sunday.
May.
So don't wait for that day to celebrate, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess sometimes we can celebrate on different days. Like for my family, we emphasize a lot on birthdays. And other than that, I don't know. For the other kind of like special days, we don't really participate so much, because we notice that people will try to sell, a lot of stuff on offers. So we want to be more what do you call that?
Mindful.
Or we are mindful about
Meaningful.
spending lah.
Mm.
More meaning. But some people, they really love to celebrate this.
Correct,
If they
yes.
love and it makes them happy, then do it. Like celebrate it. Yeah.
I think these kind of days can be seen as opportunities for the families to rally together, come together, and spend time together. It gives them a reason to spend time together. But I think I get what you mean, that, appreciating the mothers doesn't need to happen just one day, as if you accumulate all your thank yous, and say it just one time on one day a year.
Then after that,
Yeah, and every other day you
Change.
don't say thank you for whatever mothers do for you. So I guess every day, anytime the mothers do something for the kids, it'll be good for the kids to say thank you. And I think this is something maybe in many families, I don't know how many, but many families, the kids would take for granted what mothers do, the laundry, the cooking, the washing, and just worrying about the children. So just saying thank you, I think, would be a way to celebrate mothers every day.
So
Mm.
for those
Yes.
people who have mothers, say thank you now to your mother. Don't wait for Mother's Day.
That's right. Right now.
Right now, okay? Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Within 5 seconds, you have to do it. Remember the 5-second rule?
Yes.
5-second rule. What?
Yeah,
5-second
because
rule?
if you're thinking of something good to do it within 5 seconds. But you count backwards, backwards, right? So you count 5, 4. As you count 5, 4, 3, you move physically. So the so-called monkey in your brain, or the thing that tells you don't do it, the procrastinating brain, it doesn't take control over you. But if you want to do something bad, or you want to be
Count 50.
well, if you not only something bad, because also if you be angry, something that emotionally negative, all right, wait for 5 seconds. Don't straight away jump, because that's where the amygdala is. The defensive mechanism. Yeah. So do it now.
Do
Say
it
thanks to your
now.
mom. Or the husband's there. Say thanks to your wife,
Yes.
right, for being a good mother, for being a mother.
Mm-hmm. And mother to you, actually. Sometimes our wives mother us, or our husbands
sometimes
want our
parents,
wives
yeah.
to mother us. Yeah. But so thank you to
Yeah.
all mothers on behalf of We Are Dads Too. We hope you really enjoy your day with your family, and every day would be Mother's Day to you also.
And also thank you to Dr. Mariam
Mhm.
for coming here, and really sharing, frankly and in a fun way, right? Your experience and your thoughts about
Thank you.
motherhood.
Thank you for having me here. And I mean, it was really fun having this conversation with you, because for me, it's also enlightening to know the father's point of view. And of course, Paksan, since you are also a family therapist, right? I'm also learning things now that I'm chatting with both of you. And I actually do have my own Mummy Matters blog.
Yeah, please do check out your blog. What is it called?
It's called Mummy Matters, but I think you
Right.
can look it up under Wellness with Dr. Mariam, because I have a whole series of blogs on like parenting for Mummy Matters, and I also do like toxin-free living, and like for children, I do introduce like healthy snacks for children. Yeah, so I do a few different things, and other than snacks, I also introduce like what are the healthier alternatives to like toxin-free living instead of chemical-laden products. So this is related more to my cancer work, where I try to avoid, those that are suspicious chemicals like parabens, phthalates, and I try to find more products that are natural and chemical-free or toxin-free. And this is what I share with other parents also, because it helped me, my family. My daughter recovered from eczema, and I hope to, help other parents with whatever situation they're in, if, this might help them too.
And we'll talk about that in another episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
For coming.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Iman Catalyst Community, which is missioned to elevate hope by transforming lives through social education initiatives as well as personal development programs. We are the medium that come in between NGOs and their beneficiaries to enhance their sustainability and impact. If you'd like to know more, connect, and collaborate with us, you can reach us at Facebook and Instagram at Iman Catalyst. That's spelled EMAAN. And we would like to work and partner with you.
Thank you so much for tuning to this week's conversation. We hope that this episode helped you in your transformational journey as dads. If you like this podcast, make sure you review, follow, and share it with your friends. For more episodes and resources on fathering, check us out at We Are Dads Too on Facebook and Instagram.
We would also like to hear your comments and questions, so please feel free to share them on our FB and IG pages, and also our Twitter, and be connected to other dads too. Until next time, let's take the next step to be the special dad we are meant to be. Take care and stay safe.